Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn, so please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen! Hello, yodelers! Oh, that sounded weird to me. I'm gonna try that again.
Take two.
Hello, yodelers! We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I am your host today, Peter, with my co-host,
Jackie.
and
J-Fifth.
And we brought a ringer in here. We've got another a comeback co-host here.
Don't call it a
We
comeback.
have an expert.
We have another
He's an
expert here.
expert.
He
I
is
wouldn't
coming
say-
here
I-
as an expert.
I would not say expert.
Somebody who has experience with a topic. How about that?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They'd be like, no, I won't even say that. And I'd be like, all right, you need to leave.
I need somebody to help me out so it's not me talking the entire time.
Right. Yeah, Mark, Jackie's man. How you doing?
Oh my.
But as you can probably tell by the topic on the title of this episode, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts.
What is Kingdom Hearts?
Boy, you're just coming out the gate, aren't
I
you?
know. She's so bitter, too. She's like, what is this? Why are we talking about this?
Oh,
That's
she's
actually-
been wanting to talk about this regularly in our meetings.
So that we can get rid of it. We don't ever have to talk about
It's
this
a-
again.
We've been discussing this episode for a few months.
I think it was since last year.
It's always been this situation where, like, the topic, I brought it up because I think it's a good topic, but there's always something that comes up. We've
Windows 16, you know?
right, exactly. You know, and so it just kept getting pushed back. And so we're like, let's just do it. But we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts. But
So we're totally prepared for this.
we are totally not prepared for this. I literally
do
watched,
tomorrow, do it
I
tomorrow.
literally watched a 3.5 hour thing today to get myself ready for this. So
I watched like half
You watched half
hour
hour.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
I think I got
condensed.
it.
the condensed. I
The
watched
condensed.
the over explanation and over analysis of
Oh my gosh.
the history, which was very informative, but not what we're doing today.
Japheth is doodling.
I write notes so I can help me, like, ask questions.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, there's gonna be a lot.
I'm
of
bored.
questions.
You've lost me already.
So Kingdom Hearts, it's a video game created
Well,
by
series of video
a
games.
series of video games.
What's the consoles?
It's on, well, that's part of it. It's literally like on every console from the PS2 all the way to current consoles now.
Right.
It was started on the PS2, then it went, it was even on cell phone. There was a cell phone game.
Yeah.
There was
Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy Advance,
Nintendo DS, 3DS, PlayStation 3.
No. Well, I mean, technically, yes-ish.
PlayStation 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, now on the Switch
Yeah.
and the PC.
So if after we discuss this and someone goes, "Oh, I want to experience
You
this,"
can,
do they have the ability
yes,
to go back without
Yeah.
having to, like, getting a tube TV,
Right.
getting the
So-
auxiliary
so,
cables for it?
when they, because we'll talk about this, because this Kingdom Hearts series of video games was created differently than most other video games at the time. Most video games like Zelda or one thing like that is like you've got the one storyline and then the next game is something completely unrelated.
So it's
the
almost like
same
a
thing.
different universe.
Right. So, but this is like a continual story. So, like, literally, if you want to understand this storyline, you need to play every single game. So, Square Enix, the company that develops the game, they made it possible, and they kind of released an all-in-one package that has all of the games. Or if they can put the game on there, they put the story moments on there so that you can get the important parts of those games.
What's that again? What's that called again?
What is it? It's like the all-in-one. Or
Square.
The story so far.
Oh, Square Enix.
Square Enix is where you would go to access, like.
No, you can access that on any of the game stores. So like
Okay.
on Steam, on the Xbox store, on the PlayStation store, on the Switch eShop. You can access the Kingdom Hearts, like
Their
all in
catalog.
one, the catalog.
Okay.
There. So yeah, you can have access to everything. But if you want to understand the storyline, it is one of those things you're gonna have to play every game because if
or
you
watch a lot of YouTube videos
or watch a lot of YouTube videos,
explaining it, yeah.
which you're still gonna be lost because
yeah.
it's the way these games were designed is like if you were just to get the first game really isn't that complicated. It's one of those things that they introduce you to the world, and then the next game introduces a couple new elements to it, and so it kind of builds on that.
And also changes with how games are structured
Right.
and played now. Like what was done in PS2 is not necessarily being played, with the new consoles.
Correct. And so it's one of those things. So like it's best taken in bites, and that's what the games do. They give you the story in bites. So like,
Is it a complete story?
as of right now, yes, for the most part,
okay.
I would say you've
Is
got
it left open like Indiana
complete-
Jones 5 where they're like, oh, let's just go back in time and do things, like...
So like they're still making games for
Yeah.
it, but they have finished a story arc. So kind of like the MCU
Okay.
with like they finished the Thanos saga.
Okay. So
You
they finished like a phase.
They finished a phase. They're now moving on to a new phase. Same like good guys, same characters, but new bad guys and new
Okay.
storyline that they have just started.
All right. They haven't painted themselves in a corner but like, well, that's it, guys.
You would you read man, like
Yeah.
this story goes all over the place.
Yeah.
So like like things go crazy when they introduce time travel. Time travel's a thing in this thing.
I'm shaking my head, yes.
They go time travel, and that was a thing that I think divided a lot of fans of the series.
Time
is when
travel
they
does
did
that. I've got a boss where she's like, is there time travel? Oh, I hate that because somehow they always screw it up where it's just like, that makes no sense. Like,
and it doesn't. In this,
No,
I
it
still
doesn't.
don't.
you're
I
time travel
still-
sensitive, you won't like this.
like you just have to like ignore that and just go with the flow and just accept like it's time travel and that
Yeah.
happened. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
He's here because of I know he died in the first game, but time travel. He's in the last.
he's
in,
still there.
He's in the third
Yeah.
game.
Spoilers.
Well, this whole thing is a spoiler.
I know.
Right.
I'm kidding.
And I mean, and the point of this, we are not going into like heavy story elements. We'll give you a basic idea of what the game is about. If this,
We don't have 8 hours to do that.
we do
No.
not have the time to go over this story, and you guys would be asleep after I think game 3.
Sure.
The
Okay,
first 3
so
games.
how many
here.
games
Okay.
are there total?
Oh boy.
Just basic
Okay,
like
I'm gonna-
logistics.
I have to name them because that's the only way I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So we got Kingdom Hearts, then you go Chain of Memories, then we got Kingdom Hearts 2, then we have Kingdom Hearts 365 over 2 days,
358 over 2 days.
358 2 over 2 days.
Yeah, that's weird.
Then they have Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep,
yeah.
Recoded, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, then Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah. Did you already
then-
mention Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay,
I did.
Yeah.
it was the third one.
Yeah. And then we have the Kingdom Hearts 2.8,
Yeah.
2.8, and then Kingdom Hearts 3, and now they have the music game. I forgot what that one was
Oh,
called.
Melody
of Memories. That's
Melody
it.
of Memories. And then
It's kind of like
there's also the mobile games.
Oh yes.
There's
Union Cross.
Union Cross, and then there's like the one that was
The new,
Darkest Road or something like that.
something like that.
Yeah, and then there's also like some DLC for the third Kingdom Hearts that has story elements that you need to know, and
Right.
yeah,
That's important for the next story. I feel.
right.
There's a lot of
It's a lot of
games.
well.
I was not expecting. I was really like, there's like 5.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
no,
there's a
That was a
ton.
list. That was very.
So-
I'm impressed that you got them all.
It's.
So I believe.
And there's such a huge fandom of it, but just like, why? What's the draw?
I mean, this series. It's an old series. I mean, it's what 2002.
Oh yeah,
It started
That's when I
2002.
graduated.
I was-
Let's really dig into
mean-
the old part there.
I mean, I guess I think I was like junior high or freshman in high school when it first came out, and
Were you in a vulnerable place?
it was a very place. My body was changing,
My chemical romance rolled into my life.
and I'm like, oh man, I just kick into that Black Parade. Anyway, no, I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of us. There's a lot of people that grew up with it, and it's not just that we grew up with it, but it also combined together a lot of fandoms.
Yes,
And so-
big time.
For me, I was a huge fan of like the Final Fantasy games, and
Oh, that's
seeing-
generational right there.
Yeah,
And Square Enix, they're the company that makes that
Right.
game.
Oh.
and so I wanted to play Kingdom Hearts because it's like, oh, I could play with all my favorite Final Fantasy characters, which you can't because
No.
you only get to play with all the Disney characters.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the main reasons why it's so popular, because it reaches a really broad audience. It's not just like the gamers or Japanese RPG fans. It's people who also love Disney.
Yeah. A lot of people, they come for the Disney and then they get sucked into the story.
Right.
Because the story is very engaging. It's very like, oh, really?
Yeah.
I want to know more. I want to know more. Oh, let me tell. Oh, what happened here? I need an explanation for this. Oh, there's another game that explains that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, yeah. It's...
Yeah.
Okay, before we get too much into like the story, do you think it's a complete arc? Did they do a good job?
I think so.
You're satisfied.
I'm satisfied with it.
How about you, Mark? Are you satisfied with
So
it?
I can't really speak too much to it.
Shame.
I
He hasn't finished.
I haven't finished all of them. I've played most of them. I think the ones that I haven't played have been Dream Drop Distance and Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh, and 2.8.
Oh, you haven't even played 2.8?
I haven't even played that one.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Okay.
Like, I have all of them. I have them all downloaded on my PS4. It's just like I'm very much like, okay, I want to start from the beginning and go through all of it, and that just takes a lot.
It
of
does.
time.
It's very time consuming.
And I'm
It took
actually,
a while just for you guys to list all of them.
Yeah.
Jackie was like looking at her watch, like George, like H.W. Bush, and like
I was not.
and honestly, I've taken a break because it's a lot. I recently played through the first one and Chain of Memories again, and I started playing 358 over 2 days, and that one's hard to get through.
That one's a hard one to get through.
It's not like the
It's not a
story
very
is-
good game.
Is not very engaging. The game mechanics are very clunky because they're on the Nintendo DS, and it's kind of a mess. But again, the completionist that I am, I was like, I have
But
to
it's
go
important.
through the
but
whole
you
story.
want to, and it's there. The drive, it's just
It's on his list.
okay. It's,
It's
on
on
his
my
list.
list, yeah. And
Every
again,
gamer has that list, right? Where it's like, I'm not done, but it's gonna happen.
and if you have that one thing to draw you to like a certain game series or whatever, you will play through the crappy games just to get to that one good moment or that one explanation
To get the complete.
complete story.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But I'm thinking through the list of the games, and there's only really one game that's like kind of skippable, and that's Recoded.
yeah.
Because there's only like one plot point at the very end that's actually relevant.
That feeds into
Yeah.
it.
yeah, that's just all like, oh, we need to get the team back together, and that's about it.
So if you play the game and like the last one ends and they're like, oh, they're not together, and the next one they're together, you're like, well, something happened.
Yeah, well, I mean that's basically what happened in the second Kingdom Hearts is like, because I didn't play like Chain of Memories or 358 over 2 days before I played the second one, and you start off and it's like a completely different character and you just kind of have no idea what's going on,
Right.
and without that context from the previous two games, you're kind of like, okay, it's fun, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Right. And this would be my tip for those who may be intimidated by taking on that long list of games. If you just wanted a short, I feel like you have a complete arc pretty much with the first 3 games.
Yeah,
If Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and Kingdom Hearts 2.
And then from there,
That ends with a nice fancy bow, and if you never played the rest of the games, you would be fine.
Okay.
Story wise, but obviously then the next set of games that they came up with kind of like build this foundation of a storyline that takes place, the overarching storyline,
Okay.
the main storyline of everything. So
So let's start off with, basic. How does it
what's
start?
It go on? Yeah.
Well, how does it start, and what's the objective?
So it starts off with the main character who is Sora. He's He's just a
Soaring
boy.
over
Not
California.
Soren,
Soaring.
He's pretty much like the generic heroic youth, and that type of archetype.
Seeking.
Seeking adventure.
Yeah.
Because the main thing is he's there with his friends, Riku and Kairi. They're on the Destiny Islands.
This island with no parents that's out in the middle of nowhere, but these kids are just hanging out there having fun playing games all
Sounds
day.
apocalyptic, but
And
Well, it's weird though, because like Sora does have a mom
he does have a mom, yeah.
that she said like you hear her once at the very beginning of the first
then
game,
he's gone for
and
the
then
rest-
you never
forever.
hear about Sora's mom ever again.
And they just they want to go on an adventure. They want to
Yes.
explore other worlds. So they build a boat, and before they have a chance to get on this boat and go adventuring, this huge black hole comes and
Darkness.
It's like a
takes-
darkness
portal.
takes over.
Darkness basically eats the world and destroys it.
is it like the Moana?
Oh, that's
kind
sad.
of like
Kind of.
inescapable death.
Yes. Very much. That very similar themes to that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's Sora like you. So like this whole event's taking place. Then these monsters appear on the island as it's starting to fall apart and fall into darkness. Sora runs into his friend Riku, who's kind of like acting a little creepy, almost a little
Yeah.
dark. And then he just kind of like disappears.
Yeah.
And then Sora's looking for his other friend Kairi, kind of like his love interest.
Yeah.
It's there. Like
Yeah.
there's no denying it. There's a love interest there, even though
Right.
it's not like spelled out. There are a couple.
Their hearts are connected.
Yeah, there are a couple.
Yeah.
They're young
You
children.
can't put them
so-
together because it'll ruin it. Like it'll get canceled.
Yeah.
Like all TV
Yeah.
shows, those gotta keep that tension there.
Nah, it's pretty evident that they're a couple throughout the whole series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their relationship is very much throughout all the series is all like, I gotta find Kairi.
So is Sora
I gotta
just
get back
is
together.
Sora the you'll
the
have
main.
the main character all the way through.
Right.
Yes.
You'll always play
Yes.
with this character.
Yes.
Well, except for Roxas, but that's
That's-
a whole can of worms.
For the
there.
most part, Sora is the main character of the series.
Right.
Okay.
There are some exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, Sora is the main character.
I've seen this.
Do you like Sora?
Yeah, Sora's likable.
Yeah.
He's goofy.
He's
He's just
like
a
a goofy-
silly kid
Yeah.
that's like likes to have fun and kill monsters.
So I've seen it, this
giant
game.
key.
I've seen this game played, and there's Mickey and Donald and
Mhm.
Goofy with them.
Right.
Explain that.
So that's like the other
So-
half of the story.
Yeah, so what happens is the island disappears into darkness. Sora wakes up in a new world. This kind of world, I think it's called Twilight Town, right?
New world.
No, it's Traverse Town. Traverse
Oh,
Town.
Traverse Town. Yeah.
Traverse Town. Twilight Town's the other town.
Yeah.
This is Traverse Town. And
How do you traverse?
this world is a world where everybody gets like sent to, almost like refugees almost, when their worlds get destroyed. They get sent to this world.
Okay.
Where Sora doesn't know what's going on, but he has this magical key sword
Where
called
did
a
he get
Keyblade.
the key sword?
It just appeared.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's just like, I can now.
It was manifested to him.
pretty
some way.
much, pretty
Okay.
much. And then he's just wandering around this town, and then Donald and Goofy run into him, and they were given instructions by Mickey via note, by a letter, because Mickey's gone missing, but he left Goofy and Donald a note saying, hey, you need to go with the chosen Keyblade holder. And so they find Sora. He's got the Keyblade, so they're instantly friends for life.
Was there any resistance by Sora and on this journey?
What was that?
Was there any problems with Sora, like, hey, you've got this key, and now you will have to go on this special quest? Because that happens. Sometimes they're like, I didn't ask for this.
So it's kind of this journey of him trying to find his friends.
Okay.
So
Right.
he's looking for his friend Riku, and
Uncle Rico?
Not Rico. no. I can throw it one all the way over the mountain.
I would have won that game if Coach put me in. We would have been state champs. Sorry. Napoleon Dynamite reference. For
It's
those
very
that watched
absurd.
an obscure movie from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
This is a Disney podcast, not a not
You haven't been on it lately. I know. It's Borrowed Pizza and Bobby Boucher podcast now too.
But yeah, no, Sora's kind of driven to find his friends. He runs into Riku, his best friend, a lot. Riku kind of runs with the wrong crowd. He runs with the dark crowd, which for the most part are all run by the Disney villains. So Maleficent, Captain Hook, Oogie Boogie.
They're all in this
Hades.
world where like the refugees
They're
are.
kind of like, not even that. They're just kind of like in this realm. I think it's called like the Realm of Darkness. Or are they at the Hollow Bastion? They're at a different place.
yeah.
We don't. I don't want to get into semantics.
do
of,
they just, like-
this location?
Is it just like a portal they go through and they're like new?
Pretty
pla-
much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They've got this
Portal
darkness,
places.
The dark.
Okay.
They travel through portals, and so like all the villains are conspiring together to, you know,
The main character does portal jumping too, right? Into different lands.
Yeah.
not
quite.
the same way.
Yeah.
Not.
He
But,
has to do it the hard way.
Okay.
He has to fly with a spaceship.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
can't just walk through a portal like all the other villains.
So we have
can.
spaceships.
There's spaceships.
We have villains with portals.
Yes.
So only
And we have-
villains can go through the portals.
Well, they use the darkness.
They use it's
Oh.
It's cheating.
It's cheating.
It's it's like Star Wars. The dark side,
Yeah.
the
And
the thing
power
is-
is cheating, but
yes.
good
And-
will win.
And if you're a fan of that like Star Wars type storyline, the light versus the dark, you'll get into this.
That's-
Okay,
that's
that's what I'm
basically what
getting
it
from
is.
this vibe as you
Yeah.
describe it.
You'll
Like,
you'll get
okay.
in if you get into the whole like the light side and the dark side, you'll get into Kingdom Hearts storyline because that's literally the whole storyline is that. But
Is
yeah,
there a Hodo maneuver?
Holdo maneuver?
I'm just joking. You don't have to answer. Don't think. I
There
don't want.
are.
They'll go
There-
into that
there-
obscure
There are a
like.
couple of those moments, but I don't want to spoil it because they happen in a game that Mark hasn't played yet. So
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Don't ruin it. Okay. So they're in this like purgatory refugee area.
Right.
Donald, Mickey, or Donald, Goofy, and Sora are both on this quest together
Right.
to find their friends.
right, Donald and Goofy, they're looking for Mickey, and then Sora's looking for Riku and Kairi.
Okay. Friend searching. So from this, what do they do? Like,
They basically they travel to the different Disney worlds fighting these monsters called
Disney
Heartless,
World. Is it like Disney World the park or Disney World's like
like the movies.
the
So, like,
movie?
they'll
So they
to-
go into the movie
They'll
universe.
go to like Alice in Wonderland.
right.
They'll go
Okay.
to Hercules. They'll go to Tarzan, things like that. So like they'll literally jump from movie to movie.
Are those characters a part of that
Yes.
universe that they go
And,
to?
and one of the fun things about it is like you'll get to fight with like Tarzan,
Yeah,
or you
like
get to
he'll
fight
be
with
your
Peter
part of your
Pan.
party in that world.
Does
Yeah.
Phil Collins do a singing dialogue
not in
like
Nope.
I don't.
The copyright at that time,
push the bee?
you're lucky to get the Mickey Mouse theme song
Oh, yeah.
for the first game. The Disney was very reluctant with this game. They were not
You're
sure.
gonna use our characters that have nothing to do with their arcs.
And this
like,
this is kind of a spoiler. Mickey shows up in the final cutscene of the game because Disney was not comfortable having Mickey in this game.
They didn't want him to be fighting anybody.
They didn't want him fighting anyone. They
Yeah.
were very reluctant.
Mickey was bubble wrap for the most part
During that
until
time
like
period, yeah.
6 years ago when they
Yeah.
started doing new cartoons.
It wasn't until the success of Kingdom Hearts and the fandom that drove it that they're
Yeah.
like, okay, Disney's like, we'll give you some freedom with Mickey.
Short
Yeah.
leash.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so,
So-
I mean, he does show up more in other games. He actually will get to fight with him, and
Yes.
at least the second one,
Yeah.
and also Chain of Memories. So,
Mhm.
you know, I remember playing through the first one. I was like, man, I want to play with Mickey,
Yeah.
but you don't get to do that.
No,
until,
not
the other
till
games,
not till
so-
later. It's one of those disappointing moments at the final cutscene. You're all like, well, there he is.
Mickey's like,
It's
what
like you
took you so long?
You show up after I kill the final boss? What the heck is that?
So they jump to different realms. In these realms, are they just searching and then they bump into bosses?
So
Yeah.
like they're running into these shadow monsters called Heartless, and what they do is they basically attack anyone who has a heart, and it's not like their physical heart, it's more of like their spiritual heart almost.
Yeah,
The metaphysical
yeah.
heart.
It's like their soul.
Yes, it's like their soul.
Yeah.
But they basically attack these other creatures to try to take it away from them. And so Sora goes around.
So like in like Harry Potter, like those like soul eaters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are they
it's,
called? Like,
Death Eaters.
Death Eaters.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Shoot.
It's on the tip of my
The
tongue.
basilisk.
Descent.
No.
Descent. No.
Dementors.
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 Yeah.
Sorry, not a
It was
huge. I'm
horrible
not.
because of
I'm
the
just trying to
Dementors.
bridge the reference to
Dementors.
people
And he
that.
started with the D. It was like mentors. There we go.
All right, so they're like that. There's these creatures. Is somebody in charge of these? Are these the villains?
So they're
seeking these
they
heart- like-
will they will kind of follow the direction of anyone who is on the dark side. So
Yeah.
all the Disney villains kind of control them, things like that. And so like throughout the storyline, you kind of get the idea that Maleficent's kind of the head bad guy.
Everybody knew she was like.
Well, yeah, she's like Kev Villain.
HIV, you know,
Yeah.
like
So
HIVC, right?
HIV.
Not HIVC, HIVC. You know what I mean by that? Not HIV. She's got HIV.
This is a family podcast.
we're talking about a children's video game here.
It's a heavy topic right here.
I know. Sora gets into it deep. This 10-year-old boy.
The implications
Let's
to
move
that.
on. Let's move on.
So yeah, I mean, they go there and they're looking for the villains are looking for kind of like the keyhole for the world, so
Okay.
that the darkness can devour the planet.
So those guys are just trying to get to the world.
Right. And so Sora gets there, tries to stop them from doing that, and then uses his Keyblade to lock the door so that the darkness can't devour
And
these
that's very
worlds.
iconic, is that Keyblade. That is like the weapon and like the symbol
That-
of the game.
And that was actually a Disney call.
Really?
Yeah, because
Merchandising.
they didn't want
Any weapons
Disney
blade
they-
like
well, it's not even that. Like they just didn't
it's like a
want
blunt
like
object.
they didn't even like they had to think against like the main
Swords.
character having a sword, even though other characters have swords.
Yeah.
like Hercules.
Well,
Hercules has a
doesn't
sword,
like
right?
Goofy have a sword or something?
No.
Goofy has a shield.
He has a
Oh.
shield, so yeah. Instead of using like a sword or another kind of weapon, he has a shield. So it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
He's
Goofy's
a
your
protector.
is your protector. Donald is a magician. He uses magic.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And Mickey's just sitting in a
And
chair
Mickey,
doing
he's a
nothing.
Keyblade holder.
Oh.
He has a Keyblade.
He's part of the
his own.
council.
He is. But they go around, stopping the bad guys, sealing up the things.
Okay.
I don't want to get too much into the
No,
details.
I was just kind of
No.
curious, like,
But
the where
that's-
you're doing. You're going to a
that's
realm,
pretty much
and
what
what
you're
you're
doing.
battling, and so you go to different ones, and so I imagine as you go through these worlds, something happens where it pulls you to one point or another. Like it slows your character's progression, or
Right.
there's separation,
Right. There's a lot of
or a
interactions.
clue to
So,
where you're going.
For the most part, the main driving force of the game of the first game is Sora trying to find Kairi, because Riku shows up periodically. He's just all like, "Hey, I'm here, and you're a bad kid. You chose the wrong path," and then he leaves and joins the other bad guys.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
You're like, thanks, bro. All right.
And so, like, yeah, he's just kind of like this judgmental friend of like, how, like, you betrayed me by not joining me on the dark side, sort of thing.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it's all centered around finding Kairi. You find Kairi, she's unconscious. She's not there. She's just
Did
like
they put her in a glass
she's
case
like in a
and just-
coma.
and watch her and hope that some creepy prince just comes by and kisses
Not
her?
this time.
Not this time? All
No,
right.
they just leave her on the floor. They just kind
At
of
least those dwarves, like, they were classy about it.
But eventually you learn some things about, things that happened earlier in the game that impact why Kairi's not conscious, because apparently her consciousness entered Sora. And there's this
yeah.
whole other thing about how they had to get her out of his heart so that she could go back to her body. And that's a whole other story arc that
Yeah.
that turns things upside down.
Well, and
But-
and they tried to explain it more in later games, and it ends up getting more.
Oh yeah.
They muddled it up.
complicated.
Oh
It's clear as mud now.
Yeah.
pretty much.
So
All right, so we
It's-
have
yeah.
these different worlds. What were some of your favorite worlds that you guys have
Yeah.
experienced? Because they like I've heard there's like Aladdin,
Mhm.
there's Hercules, there's a pirates one,
Yeah. There's
Captain
several.
Jack. Like,
yeah.
so what were some of the fun ones, and what did you do in those?
So let's see.
I know Hercules is like each one, right?
Hercules is like everyone's favorite in the first two games.
Well,
First two main games.
It has the Coliseum, and you get to go and participate in tournaments and stuff.
So
like that.
Hercules is a repeat.
Yeah.
Land.
Yes.
Yeah, there's several that repeat throughout the series.
Aladdin's one.
Aladdin's in
A couple.
a 2 or 3. of
Yeah.
them.
There's a Toy Story one.
That's in the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I watched
wasn't
that one.
It wasn't until Kingdom Hearts 3 that they got the Pixar.
They got the
green light.
rights.
They got the green light to do Pixar.
The
And,
people that have been playing the games grew up and they actually made it up
Yeah.
into
right.
the decision makers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
It's
remember.
hard to say.
I would say
I really liked the Hollow Bastion, and that's like one of the key points of the game. It's not a Disney World, but I like it because Beast is there, and he gets to join your party, and he is
looking for Belle.
Does he tear things up?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
literally, like he'll knock down. You can get him to knock down walls. He's like really powerful. He can kill
It's
a
your
lot of
juggernaut.
Heartless. Yeah, and so I really liked that. And what it did for me was like, oh man, I wish they had actually done the world for the Beast. But in the second one, they actually did have Beast's world and Belle's world, and that was actually one of my favorite areas.
That was actually a really good one.
Yeah.
And a really good story point on
Yeah.
that one as well. Very good. Very well written.
I know. I threw you a curveball.
I
Like-
did like the Lion King level in Kingdom
Oh,
Hearts 2.
yeah.
I felt like the story was really good. It was creative because
So what do you do in the Lion King world?
so what was unique about the Lion King world was that you kind of get introduced to this idea a little bit with when they do the Little Mermaid world, where you get transformed into a mermaid.
Yeah.
So Donald and
Um,
Goofy will
Donald-
they'll
Donald-
turn into like
Donald-
partial characters in that realm.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
Kind of fun.
So like in the Little Mermaid world, Donald's is like an octopus,
Yeah,
and then Goofy's a turtle.
yeah,
But in the Lion King, let's hear Sora. He become a little cub.
okay,
Yeah.
like Simba.
And then what is Donald just becomes kind of like Zazu.
yeah. A bird.
It's just a
Well,
flying
he's a bird, but
it's a
yeah.
huge transformation for him.
I know.
And
And
he's
then-
actually like flapping around with his
I think,
staff in his
and I
mouth.
think Goofy's is a
I
turtle
think he's
as well.
still a turtle,
just a
yes.
land turtle, not a sea turtle.
All right, we gotta think of something. What will Goofy turn into? Turtle.
Well, the Monsters Inc. one was really good because they turn into monsters.
Oh, fun.
So that was kind of cool when they did
Well,
that.
and they do a similar sort of thing in Halloween Town.
Yes, they
Where
give them
it's
unique
It's just
Wow.
costumes.
like this is like Halloween Town, like,
Like
Disney,
Disney?
movie. Or
No,
was it
no, no,
Halloween
no, no,
Town,
no,
like
like
Nightmare Before
Nightmare
Christmas.
Before
Nightmare
Christmas.
Before
Okay.
Oh,
I know
I got
Jackie got-
excited.
I was like, Jackie almost got. I was like, I
I
need to
was
clarify
like,
for
what?
Jackie.
No, but like Donald is a mummy. What is Goofy? Is he just like a
Is he Dracula?
He's kind of like a Frankenstein.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see
so
that.
that's fun. So yeah, it's just like
And Sora's like a vampire.
Yeah,
Okay.
It
He's
changes
got little
up,
teeth.
yeah.
He's got little
It's usually the
vampire teeth.
classic monsters for
Whoa.
Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. One of the infamous levels, the ones that I always hear.
Is
people
this like
complain about.
infamous or like it's difficult or they complain about?
Yeah. So I know Atlantica. So like the
Little Mermaid world.
because
There's
you ha-
two reasons why.
Well,
There's two.
the one main one I could think of is just like the controls because you're
It's
not
very difficult. It's unique.
you have to like press like triangle to go up and then like
Yes,
go
because
down,
normally on any
yeah.
level you're
It's
walking.
not so linear
It's
with
not
what
so
you're
linear,
walking.
yeah.
You're like
going
in
all
this,
over the place. It's very
it's like flying,
yeah.
like a flying
right.
game.
So like that's what was difficult. And then for some reason in the second game,
Oh my gosh.
they just turned it into a music game
yeah.
where you just hit the button at the right time of the music.
So it's like Guitar Hero.
Yes, it's kind of
So-
like Guitar Hero.
The funny thing about that
It's
too,
it's completely optional. You don't even have to do it.
yeah, they got 2 songs from The Little Mermaid,
Right.
and all the other ones are original, and they're
Oh
terrible.
yeah, they're not very good at all.
What do you mean? The originals aren't good, or
The additional songs. Which one?
Well, because they re-recorded it for the game too. So, like, you have the original songs. I think Part of Your World is one.
Part of Your World, and I think Poor Unfortunate Souls. Isn't
So
that
it's just
one?
like a bad
Oh,
rendition.
no,
of
I don't
it?
think it's Poor. Is it Poor Unfortunate?
Because I felt like there was an Ursula one.
I thought it was Under the Sea
It could, oh, you know, I don't think it is
because they did have the music in the first one.
You're probably
That was
right.
like the only one, but like, and then they had like 3, and it's just like, oh, I can't.
They're
even describe.
cheesy.
Yeah,
They're cheesy songs.
I mean, they did get like Joni Benson to
do the voice.
Do the voice.
so you got the actual
But I mean,
Ariel.
at the same time, it's just like you can kind of tell she was kind of phoning it in because this is not new.
She was Zoom. She was in a Zoom call.
Zoom call.
It was just like
She's
it
in her
was not-
closet, like, oh
was not her
no,
end game.
stop.
it
As
was
the moth
not-
attacks
Yeah.
her, she's like, "Ah."
So like, that's definitely a part of the game that I'm like, okay, I have to play alone, otherwise I die of cringe. It's like, oh, I'm not playing this game.
Right.
a guilty pleasure.
I mean, I don't like it, but you need to do it in order to get a certain
abilities.
and so
So you have the side quest
It's
to get.
it's
get
optional
up-
to do. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, you get rewarded.
yeah, and so you have to sit through some really cringy
Yes.
songs and stuff.
And it's kind of annoying when they're all like, you finish one and you're like, all right, let's move on with the story here. And they're all like, well, you need this ability before you can do the next song.
Right.
And so you have to go do other stuff and then come back to it. And
So it's like it's separate. You have to basically go back there throughout the entire.
So it's like a
game.
tree experience. You're like, come here, now you got to go back down here, then come back, and then
Yeah.
you go up, and they're like, I need to go this way.
yes.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is very much like that. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 1, you just kind of go to the different worlds and that's pretty much it. Whereas Kingdom Hearts 2, like, you'll do all the levels once and then you'll go back again for another round
for a second quest.
for the second half of the game.
Yeah.
So like
I
you'll
don't
go
know if
through
I would
a
like
second, and then
that,
you go back
though.
there again. It's good. I mean, you get more story and it's a different
Okay.
story. So it's not like
I figure if you're
you-
going backwards, it's kind of a reversal. Like,
So-
is that the time travel aspect of it?
No,
Oh, okay.
not at all. So it's like literally like the first time you go there, you get a complete story. And then when you come back again, you get kind of the continuation of the story for the most part. Like it's like an additional story. So it's almost like
Yeah.
you get
So after Happily Ever After.
yeah.
So are there other worlds other than Disney's?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's the ones that they make for the game, the
Yeah.
original worlds. So the ones they make, so like Traverse Town,
Yeah.
there's Hollow Bastion, or
Yeah.
Radiant Garden,
Yeah,
or
it-
whatever.
like
you know,
the-
the end,
The majority of the worlds are Disney
world that never was.
properties.
for the most part.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's another one, but no, I mean, I get it's Disney, Touchstone, like any of those proproperties that they have.
Touchstone. That would be
Ooh,
weird.
can we get The
Touchdown-
Rock
Touchdown-
with Sean
I
Connery
include
and
that
Nicolas
one because
Cage?
of Nightmare Before Christmas, because that's a Touchstone.
Is that
property.
Touchstone? Okay.
Yeah. And so but
Wasn't
like,
Waterboy Touchdown?
Oh my-
Put a water boy in there. Oh, that would be great.
Jackie is just eye rolling left and right. Especially she still has eyeballs right now.
Well, the hope is for the next major Kingdom Hearts game, they'll be putting Star Wars and Marvel.
Whoa, that's huge to expand
That would be
the
big
universe to
if they did.
include that.
Has that been approved, like confirmed, or
Disney's
No,
throwing
it has
it-
not been confirmed.
Have you seen
but
the
they're
things
not
on
gonna,
Disney Plus lately?
I don't think they'll have a problem doing stuff like that.
It's not mainstream, so I think you have like that freedom. And this is like a fan. This is like a deep fan.
Oh, totally.
Like club. It's just you don't go to the park. You don't see the merchandise. It's just like one of those like you see the symbols and you're like, oh,
well, we did a
You're
meet
one of
and
us.
greet with
Sora.
Donald
Oh, you had the
Oh,
Kingdom
uh,
Hearts.
and Goofy.
Yeah, so like at the Halloween party
Yes.
last year, yeah, we didn't get a picture with Donald or Mickey, but we got a picture with Goofy and dressed in the Kingdom Hearts garb.
But yeah, the characters will show up, and I haven't seen
so
Sora.
it's not mainstream.
No.
yeah, it's a very it's a niche.
Is
thing,
there
yeah.
a symbol, or if like someone says a key word that'll like cue you and you're like, oh, you're one of us?
Well, if you say Keyblade, that's a pretty.
Yeah.
That's it,
a-
Keyblade?
That's a pretty like. Oh, okay.
or the heart Kingdom Hearts symbol? That's
Yeah,
in
the crown.
logo.
The
yeah,
crown.
the crown. Yeah.
I remember one D23 they were selling the Keyblade.
Yeah.
Oh, I bought a Keyblade umbrella for like a friend of
Oh,
the
yeah?
family. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was part of the Kingdom Heart, and so I knew he would love it. I knew he was a huge fan, and so I bought it for him.
Yeah.
He was using it like a Keyblade in the game and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anytime Mark plays and I hear it, it's like the sound effects are not like the greatest.
Is that your complaint from?
Yeah, from like the outside, like the yeah.
Well, you can say the same thing about like the Legend of Zelda. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those things are be things like that. The thing that kind of eats at me with the Kingdom Hearts series though is the music, just because it's not like, especially anything from Kingdom Hearts 2 and earlier, they don't really play Disney music. They kind of play like weird keyboard themed music to that area. It's all like, we're playing generic Arabian music off of a keyboard. You know, it just doesn't sound very good.
So it doesn't have that full
Disney.
cooperation with
At
the
that
Disney
time.
catalog at
They've-
the time.
They've opened up a little bit on that with the later games.
Okay.
But the earlier ones, like, you'd be like,
this
this is not Phil Collins. It
Oh,
doesn't.
it's what is it, Mr. Pibb? You know,
Yes, it's
like,
like a Mr.
you're like,
Pibb
it tastes
situation.
like Dr. Pepper, but it's not quite.
But-
Right.
To be fair, there are some really good theme songs and
There are.
music. In
Absolutely.
it. It's just like it's like they gave the composers, it's like, okay, make it sound kind of like the music from that movie, but you can't.
You can't
Copy
do
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't cross streams.
Except for the Little Mermaid, for some reason they were able to get under the sea.
Every once in a while, you'll hear a little subtle. It's like, oh, I heard it.
Oh,
You get a little excited.
Also, Nightmare Before Christmas. They also
Nightmare
had the
Before
theme for
Christmas,
that.
they have the music for that
Yeah,
one.
but everything else, I believe, was like an original track.
yeah.
Is there a
So-
world that you would be fine if they just
Bulldoze,
delete
baby,
it?
bulldoze.
Yeah, delete.
I did not like Monstro the Whale.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
That
I don't like Alice in Wonderland.
That was a weird one.
It's a weird.
It's probably one of the more unique ones
It is unique. I give it that, but I just always get lost there.
Well, the thing is, they introduce you to mechanics that you never use.
Right.
Mechanics meaning
The
how
rest-
you use the controllers.
No, just like world interaction. So
Okay.
like they're like, oh yes, you gotta like use fire to make this plant open up. You don't have to do that sort of stuff anywhere else in the
Yeah.
game. Where like you're using your magic to activate certain.
So you're like
doors or things
relearning
like
a
that.
new game.
pretty
in
much
its own way
So
for
like
this-
that's why I
Yeah.
feel like disconnected with that world in
Right.
particular. It's
Well-
just, it's so much different than the other. I get it's Wonderland. It's weird,
Yeah.
but it's like
It doesn't
They-
need to be annoying. It
Yeah.
seems like it comes off annoying.
well,
where
like
you're
I would
"Oh,
be
didn't need to
okay
do
with it, but like they just don't use that the rest of the game, for the most part.
yeah, like actually having to use your abilities to unlock stuff.
Right.
I mean, they do a little bit. I know they did in like Traverse Town. Like you had to learn like the blizzard spell in order to turn out all the candles at once, or use
Right.
lightning too. But there's not really anywhere else that you really do that often. And I can kind of understand that, like from like a development type of standpoint.
They start working on. They're like, this is way too much. We need to simplify this.
Well, it's just like it's kind of you choose which worlds you want to go to first, and so like they need to have a certain abilities or certain things in order to progress, and so they might have chosen a different path to do that. And plus, this is also a game that's geared towards kids, and so you need to keep the puzzles kind of simple for the most part. But yeah,
Is it really is it really like geared towards kids anymore?
Like, do your kids, Peter,
No,
curious to play it?
they played a very little and they got bored with it.
Yeah. I think it's definitely geared towards the already fans.
Yeah.
It's moved out of that like trying to
It's
get a
one
new
of those.
generation.
It's one of those. It's hard to jump into. So it's like, for example, like let's say you've never seen Star Wars and your first movie you're watching is Return of the Jedi.
You'd be like, okay. That's
You're all
fine.
like, okay, why?
At least it's not Attack of the Clones. Where you're like, what's
Fall
going
asleep
on?
for a
This dude
couple
doesn't like
hours.
sand, and now like you wake up and you're like, this green dude's got a lightsaber. What's going on here?
So if they brought Star Wars into the universe, like what part of Star Wars would you want?
Keyblade lightsaber.
Oh man, lightsaber, keyblade.
Just making the
lightsaber.
sound effects would be really cool.
That would be awesome.
I don't know, but like playing with like having Luke
Honestly-
in your party would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, because the themes of Star Wars work really well with Kingdom Hearts. So, like, you literally can throw in any. You could put Obi-Wan in. You could put Yoda in.
Could I
there
put Ray
to
in and
have
it should
that.
be invincible and figure out everything?
It
on
wouldn't
a whim?
surprise me if they do go Star Wars that they do Ray. It would not surprise me.
Yeah,
if they do
I
that.
think so. But I lost my train of thought on that.
Because you have more freedom if you do Ray.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because
if
you're
you
not
get stuck,
tied-
then
you're-
all the Jedi's would be like, "You can do it, Ray. Ray,
We
you can
believe
do
in
it."
you.
I bet she gets tired of that.
Just like, leave me alone. Okay.
I believe in you.
It's like she's
Peter
waking
Pan.
up and she's like, 5 more minutes. You can get up, Ray.
Morning motivation for you, Ray. I must go to Tatooine. That's the only place I can escape.
At least Anakin won't follow me there.
I hate sand.
Good sir.
All right, so where do you want to see this franchise go?
Yeah.
Like,
kinda a tough
are you
question.
fine? Like,
Or you find like it being done.
is like, could it be done and you'd be okay? Or are you fine with these like side quests, overarching kind of like video games that are coming out for it?
If I stepped away from the series, I would be fine.
You're satisfied.
I would be satisfied with what I've experienced if I walked away. Will I know? But if I did, I would be fine leaving where I'm at right now, because the direction they're going now is taking things to the next level in terms of like convoluted story arcs.
Is this
and
like kind of a Fast
storylines.
and Furious where we start off street racing and now we're up in space with our cars, like fighting world superpowers?
That's an interesting comparison there.
It always starts off with like one simple thing and then it just keeps
Yeah.
getting too big and you're like, wait a second, that
So-
escalated in 20 years.
So this first story arc that encompasses all those games that I mentioned, that is involving kind of like a basic plot point of what this villain has been trying to do, kind of like a Thanos situation.
Who is the supervillain, or is it just a collective?
It's his name is Master Xehanort. He's also a Keyblade holder, but he's a evil Keyblade.
You gotta have
holder.
balance, of course.
He's originally voiced by Leonard Nimoy,
Yeah.
but then he passed away right before Kingdom Hearts 3. So then they got Christopher Lloyd.
How cool!
Yeah.
So
Well-
you had like you went from a Vulcan to a Klingon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean,
and then they had Luke Skywalker as another character.
Does he play Joker voice? that would be way better than Luke Skywalker voice.
But that is something that worth mentioning. I think is like for the majority of the characters, they tried to get like the actual original voice actors.
Yes,
That's
it's-
great to
Sora is
hear.
still the
So-
same. Kyrie isn't.
Yeah, so even for Alice
Riku
from
is.
Alice in Wonderland,
Yeah,
they got
she-
the original voice actress
For
to
Alice.
do it.
Mhm.
And even though it's just like a few lines, it's the same voice actress.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you feel good. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
they tried.
Yes.
Yeah.
They do.
That's important.
And so
for,
they
for games
tried to
and
get like like Disney Channel people to play the different parts of the different characters.
High School Musical. No.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine Sharpay?
Yeah, oh my gosh. But yeah, that was like kind of a big deal at the time too. When it first came out, it's like, oh, like Haley Joel Osment is in this. He's the main character. Oh, they actually got like
for those who don't know, he's the kid from Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
I see dead people.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Oh.
you got to reference who he is.
I
what
see
was
dead
it?
people.
Hayden Panettiere or whatever
Yes,
her name is.
Hayden
Yeah.
Panettiere.
From Remember the
She's
Titans.
Remember the Titans, or she's
She's a little
the
girl.
Save
And
the Cheerleader, Save the World.
Yeah,
Yeah.
heroes.
But yeah, but then you have like you also like Christopher Lee. You have Leonard
Yeah,
Nimoy,
Christopher Lee, yep.
You have Mark Hamill. So you got like
There's
a lot
of
different-
great voice
Yeah.
actors a part of this series.
Oh, even James Woods did Hades.
Hades, yep.
Yeah.
He has the rights over it. Like if they do a like live action, he's like, no, I am the voice of Hades. If I'm gonna do this, I am. through and through, and he
Yeah.
loves that
Oh,
character.
I know he does. He nails that character.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So kind of going back, there's the Keyblade keeper or whatever holder. What's like their purpose?
What's his MO?
Yeah, like they have a Keyblade and it's to what?
It's like conquer probably.
So that gets into the next arc of story.
Oh,
so
okay.
then and that's what I was about to get into. So like we have this story arc of like
Finding
you
your
get,
friends.
You get introduced to this world and how this world works and what a Keyblade is, what it does. And now we're at the point where like, well, where did the keys come from? And there were hundreds of other Keyblade holders. What happened to them? And like this whole like big picture.
So if Star Wars went back into like
Yeah.
the origins of the Sith and like the Jedis and like
that's kind of what they're going through right now.
okay.
Okay.
They
Sorry if I
kind
keep
of-
referencing that, but I think that's just
No,
a
it's-
common one for
again,
me to
it's-
process.
It's very similar to Star Wars. So it's again, if you're into Star Wars, you might get into Kingdom Hearts storyline. So yeah, there's a lot of that. They're just diving deep in like the history and the lore of everything and the grand purpose. And there's a book of prophecy and big events that are gonna happen and things like that.
Do you think they'll ever make a movie or show?
That was gonna be my question. Like, what would be better to tell this story?
Yeah.
Supposedly, when Disney Plus started, they were in the works of talking with Square Enix on developing a Disney Plus show.
Yeah, they would have.
Haven't heard anything about it since.
That probably got squashed.
There was
I think it's complicated.
an
Yeah.
anime. No, not an anime. A manga. There was a
Yeah.
manga that it told the story. Of the
It's
first
that's
game.
like Japanese literature, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
Japanese style
comic-
literature.
It's Japanese comics.
Comics. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar, so I was like, how does this?
So I mean, I'd be down. I think it'd be very hard to do it right, because a key part of Kingdom Hearts is going to these Disney worlds,
Yeah.
and that's where I feel like they'll run into a lot of issues. So you either have to like completely negate the Disney worlds and just focus on the worlds that they created.
That's a big fantasy world, and it's hard to suck people into a culture of
I mean,
fantasy,
you can
sci-fi,
still
or
include like Goofy, Donald, and Mickey. You could still include them, but I don't think you would be able to go to the other Disney worlds.
So it's not. Do you think it's just like it's not cheap enough to do that to encompass those worlds in just yet?
I just think it would just complicate things too much. I mean, you'd have to do a TV show for sure if they were to do that.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
think of it like Once Upon a Time. They
yeah.
incorporated all those different
They
kind of
did.
worlds of the fairy tales,
Yeah.
and they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of like you got to deal with animation with this, and you got to like, do you do live action or do you do
Ooh.
animation
Would you
world when you're in
prefer-
there?
Live or animation
Oh,
for it?
I would want to do animated
It would have to be animation
because you
for
got
me,
Goofy and do you want a live action Mickey
Oh,
and
that's-
Donald and Goofy?
That's
scared.
true.
You could do both. You could do Mary Poppins style. Do you think that could work?
Oh, a mix.
I don't think it would work, because the only reason why like Who Framed Roger Rabbit worked was because they acknowledged it. They acknowledged there's a different. You're a cartoon.
Oh,
I'm a
and
real.
that's
Could they do
not
that?
in.
I don't.
I mean,
think
you're
they
in
could-
this fantasy world that they get sucked into. Like,
I don't know if they. could
Sora's
pull it
like,
off.
oh, that looks normal. A duck that talks to me. Like, you have to acknowledge, like, okay, this is a weird place. Okay, I'll just go along for the ride.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be a hard sell, to do something like that, and very expensive.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys have any last thoughts?
I know like we've kind of like said some negative things about it, but it's a really good game. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
My suggestion is play in the order that the games were released.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest
yeah.
suggestion. If you wanted to get into it, you got to play from the beginning.
Yeah, and I would have to say is like I've known people who have not like they're never really gotten into video games before, and this was like their entry into video games because it had to do with Disney.
Yep.
And it is like
It's the gateway game.
it is
It is.
accessible. It's accessible by other people.
Is
Though
that
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Is it a hard game?
No, I wouldn't. Like, you could make it hard.
Yeah.
You can make it
Is
extremely
it,
hard.
is it harder
but you-
than that ninja game from the original
that was,
Sega?
that was freaking
where you
hard.
basically had to memorize where you needed to like go invisible.
Right. That was a hard game.
Oh my gosh.
I don't. That's a different type of hard. That's a different type of hard. That's like a memorization hard. This is more of like you can play on beginner. Like they've got the different modes. So
Yeah.
if you want to just like
You want the
experience
story.
the story, you can go straight through beginner. And like, yeah, maybe some of the bosses might be hard, but not really.
So, I mean, I know that most of the games have like secret bosses that are extra challenging, but those are not required to
They're
experience.
optional.
And it does you don't get any extra plot from them. They're just for fun. I know like with like the Olympus Coliseum with Hercules, they have like some secret bosses there, and I've never beaten them because they're extremely hard.
Technically, I think there is one you get some story on, and that's Sephiroth in the first
Oh.
one.
That's true.
But that's not really that important.
I mean,
That's like
yeah.
plot point for side characters and not
Yeah.
important to the overall story.
It's like when I
So-
get like a book from Disney and it's about like R4. You
Right.
know, like you're like, okay, I'll learn about this red droid,
Right.
And you're like, okay, that's fine.
Right.
Oh
It-
my
it's something like that.
Or
where
the
it's like,
blue,
oh,
the
okay.
blue like guy that plays the keyboard on
Right.
Jabba's thing. You get his story, and you're like, wow, it's very fascinating. He's got such a history in this. You know?
How he became.
Is it
Oh, my
Panda?
Yeah. Oh, so I guess we would talk about the Disney like realms that you'll go to. Can you guys list them off? So in case there's like some fans out there that are like, well, we'll add my favorite.
Okay. Here
See
we
what you
go.
do. Just throw it out there, and then we'll kind of like we'll finish off with that.
Okay. So let's see how many I can get.
Oh
So
my
we
gosh.
start with Tarzan, Hercules, and Alice. We've got Aladdin, Pinocchio, Peter Pan,
Peter Pan, yeah.
and then Atlantica, Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
That's the first game. Those are the Disney worlds in the first game. Am I missing
Nightmare
one?
Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Right about that one.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones in the first game.
Yeah.
And then in Kingdom Hearts 2, for Kingdom Hearts 1 in Chain of Memories, they're kind of repeats of the prior
Right.
worlds, so there's nothing new there. Kingdom Hearts 2, there's Winnie the Pooh. Forgot about Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah.
And Winnie the Pooh too.
Oh, you got really mad playing that one.
You got mad at playing Winnie the Pooh?
It's the mini games.
There's a hole in the drywall. No.
Oh, I don't remember which one it was.
It was like the tree. You're trying to get up a tree or something.
Oh, it was the bees.
Yes.
The bee's knees.
So like,
Don't worry, Pooh had a hard time with that in the book.
it's one of those things. It's like it wasn't required for me to
It's
do
optional.
it. But I was gonna get some item or reward by getting the high score on it, and so that's why I was getting frustrated.
Yeah,
because
had to
wa-
get that perfect game.
I had to get the perfect game, and it was so whatever.
Let's move on. All right, Peter, keep
All
going.
right, so let's hear. I'm trying to think here of the new ones. So you got Beating the Beast, Mulan,
Yeah.
Tron.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
Lion-
forgot there's Tron.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
there's Tron. Lion King, Pirates of the Caribbean. What other new ones are there? Because they go back and visit some of the old
Because they go
ones.
back to
They
Aladdin.
do Aladdin, Nightmare Before Christmas, Atlantica. They go. There's a lot of those repeats.
Yeah.
Um,
And then 1920 style.
oh yeah, black and white Mickey.
black and white Mickey.
Ooh,
yeah.
how fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And they
Yeah.
go to Mickey's castle.
Mickey's Castle, yeah.
What's Mickey's castle?
It's where Mickey lives. He's a king. He's
Oh.
King Mickey.
In universe,
It's where he
yeah.
stores Steamboat Willie.
Does it look like?
It kind of looks like a Disney World
Okay.
castle, a little bit. Like
Yeah.
if you squint your eyes, you'll see the Cinderella castle.
Gotcha.
That's pretty. I mean, that's all I can really think of in Kingdom Hearts 2. Then there's
Yeah.
Birth by Sleep has the Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty.
Sickles of the Princess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much.
It has a different
Lilo
like,
and Stitch
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the Stitch World.
yeah. There's a different like Mickey world there, which has the racing.
Right.
It's like a fair thing. I don't know.
Yeah. They do. Let's see here. I know in another game they do have the Three Musketeers,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
the direct to DVD movie.
Yeah, that was kind of like
They do Fantasia.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Man, there's a lot. They
Yeah.
go through.
So Monsters Inc.,
Monsters Inc., Toy Story.
Story. They have Tangled,
Yeah.
Frozen. That's in the third game,
Yeah.
or in 3.
They go back to Pirates.
Yeah.
So it looks like they do bring in the new stuff too. They
do.
Well,
yeah.
Especially with the third one, you can tell Disney was a little bit more hands-on when it came to Kingdom Hearts 3.
okay.
Um,
Does it ruin it? Like Disney had the hands-off
I
approach,
would say this.
and then they built the fandom.
you can
and
tell
then,
you can tell Frozen was
A push.
put in there in the middle of production of Frozen,
okay.
because you can see because like the original story of Frozen was that Elsa was actually a bad guy.
Oh,
Mhm.
it's also a bad guy.
Well,
And the
you
story
could-
is
you
Snow
can-
Queen. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
you
no,
can you can
in
kind of tell
Kingdom.
the storyline that they were sharing kind of indicated that's what they were originally going to do. So you can tell that there was a shift in the story and the layout, because like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm in this like castle cavern place for some odd reason, but it's a different dimension inside the Frozen. It's really like disjointed, and you could tell like that was put in like halfway through production.
Kind of like a Black Cauldron, kind of like two different stories.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm surprised they haven't done Black Cauldron.
That would be an excellent one.
That would be incredible.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. You want to
So-
close this off, Peter?
Yeah, sure. But as I said, it's a fun game. It's very exciting. Don't be too intimidated. If you start at the very beginning, you'll understand the storyline.
Yeah.
If you just take it piece by piece, don't jump in and be like, oh, these graphics are too old for me. I'm just gonna jump into Kingdom Hearts 3, and you're just gonna be like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. You're just gonna be lost. But start at the beginning, go through it. Every piece it'll start making sense. It's one of those people. The people who play it understand the story, but they can't explain it because it is
Yeah.
so much. Like you go online, you're like, what's the storyline of Kingdom Hearts? There's like
5 hours
Yes.
later.
absolutely, but it's very compelling. You get sucked in with the Disney characters, and you get sucked in with the storyline. Once you get started with it, it's great. It's a lot of fun. Every game is different game styles, gameplay's different. But let us know what you think. If you guys play Kingdom Hearts, what are your thoughts about it? Is it a game that you've already tried and you're like, nah, I don't want to play that anymore, or they took too long, so I just gave up and I didn't even bother playing the third one because we waited
It was a long gap
almost
between-
10 years from Kingdom Hearts
That's a-
2 to 3.
That's Avatar level.
That's
over 10
Yeah.
10 years. Over 10 years. I mean, there were smaller games in between that helped fill in the blank, but the
there was
difference between
something
2
going
and
on with the
3, there's a lot.
creator. I heard that like he broke away and then he came back and stuff.
Well, he was doing a lot of work because the guy who does Kingdom Hearts, he's also in charge of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And that's a bigger franchise.
Bigger franchise.
That's a
Yeah.
big franchise for the company.
Yeah.
And so more attention gets put on that one over Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. And I mean, like just with Final Fantasy, they have their own like spin-offs and everything. but
Right.
They're up to Final Fantasy 16 now, so they're just about to come out.
Wow.
Wow.
So
But yeah, let us know what you think. You can reach out us on all our social media.
Did Peter do a good job in explaining it? Put those comments in there.
Yeah, let us know.
that might be a little controversial.
Yeah, I know. You're going to be like, he didn't talk about the nobodies. Mm.
Who?
Exactly.
Somebody's.
He didn't talk about the imaginary world and the sleeping worlds and the...
That's what you're gonna do to me.
The Keyblade, not just the Keyblades, but the Keyblade.
the Keyblade. Oh yeah, that's a whole other story. The Keyblade and Keyblade. Oh my gosh.
Look it up.
Don't get even get me
Yeah.
started. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, let us know on our social medias, our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. Email us at matterhornyodos@gmail.com. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, leave a rating. Even if it's just a 5-star, just go on there really quick. Hit 5 stars for us.
Yeah.
It helps helps us fit into the algorithm so other people might be able to find this content.
We're not in the
And,
matrix yet.
yeah,
so
we're
like
not.
jump us in.
Yeah.
Help us out. Help
We need
us
those
out.
numbers.
You know, we helped you out by giving you something you might want to listen to. Help us out so that we can help other people find that as well. But until next time, Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.